Hey guys, this is Roadstead to Homestead, and we want to talk a little bit about food. And you've seen we've started some videos, and we're going to try to post videos once a week. But we're getting ready to cook dinner, and I just want to do a quick video with my wife about the dinner. So this is what we have. This is squash, and you guys see this stuff at the stores all the time, and you think those are for decorations. Well, they're not. They're actually food, and it's really, really good. So I'm going to let my wife tell you a little bit about what we're going to throw together here. This isn't a recipe you'll find on the internet. This is something we've kind of made up, and tell you what we have.
Basically, we have 2 pounds of ground sausage, about $4 a pound, 2 cans of tomatoes, an onion, a couple zucchini, and some peppers. And we're just going to kind of dice everything up and throw it in here. Cut our squash in half and stuff them. Maybe sprinkle them with a little bit of cheese, stick them in the oven, and have some stuffed squash.
All right, so real quickly about the squash. This is called a curry squash, this one here, and never eaten it, so I don't know what it's going to taste like, but that's part of, you know, explorating with food. This one we've had before. This is called a carnival squash. It's actually really sweet. And these are called delica squashes, and the first time we ever had this was about a week ago, and we found these in a local store here in North Dakota where we're staying for our time being. And these things are amazing. So we're going to cut these up, and I will see you guys when we're ready to start. All right, so here we have the ground sausage that my wife told you about a minute ago. And what we're going to do is we're going to take Hunt's fire roasted diced garlic tomatoes. We're taking 2 cans, and we're putting that in. And I'm going to pass this over to her, and she's going to go ahead and mix that for us. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our zucchini, our onion, and our peppers, and we're going to go ahead and chop these things up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and you can kind of see. What I like to do with the zucchini, I like to leave these a little bit large. So basically, I like to take these things, cut the ends off, get rid of those. And then I like to slice them long ways, just like that. And we'll do both. Okay. And then I like to go again long ways. And then once I've done that, I'll just cut basically chunks like this. And this will go right into the meat that my wife is mixing. For those of you guys that have started to watch our channel, if you please like and subscribe, that'll help, you know, encourage us to make more videos. And you know, there's going to be rugrats running around because we homestead on the road, so that's why it's called Roadstead to Homestead. And our goal is to eventually, you know, have an actual homestead somewhere where we have a base, but we don't know where that's going to be. And this gives us, moving around every so often, gives us the opportunity to kind of check out different parts of the country and really find out where that place is that we eventually want to end up. So basically what I'm doing now is I'm just taking the tops off of these peppers, and it's no big deal to that. You just cut right into those, and then just gonna slice these things up, and nothing fancy here. There you go. And like I said, I like to leave big chunks, so you want to do that with the yellow pepper, and then you're ready to stuff your squash, and I'll be back and show you guys that in just a minute. Now we've got the meat mix, we've got all the vegetables in here, and now it's time to deal with the squash. And we're going to start with this curry squash. Like I said, I've never eaten this one. This is new to me, but we picked it up locally, and it looks good, so we'll see what it is. Obviously remove the labels, and you probably want to cut off this stem. And then certain squashes, especially winter squash, can be really hard to cut because it has a hard shell on the outside. And this one feels pretty tough. And the goal here is to get 2 fairly equal halves that we can stuff. So I'm gonna have to try my very best. And the way I like to get into these things is I'll start just like this and I'll just kind of stab down. Yeah, this has got a very hard shell on it. And you want to try to split it evenly as you go. So what really holds these together is their shell. So you want to try to work the shell, not necessarily the flesh of the squash itself. So you're not trying to cut all the way through because it'll split apart once you get rolling. But you're trying basically to control where this thing splits, because it's like cutting a giant egg, basically. And you can see here, my wife can bring the camera over, and you can see kind of how I'm working this thing a little bit at a time. And all I'm doing is sticking the knife in and I'm creating a split so that it can split open and we can get to its insides. There you go, and see it's starting to open up now already. And the split's already starting to come along the backside. And you really want to be careful, one, not to cut yourself, and two, that you get an even split, because if you don't, if you just try to tear this thing open, it's going to split off wherever it wants to, and you're not going to get two really nice equal halves, because they don't like to split real evenly. There we go, and that's that, and then basically you can just pull it right open. And then once you get it open, it's like a pumpkin inside. You scoop the seeds out, we'll throw those out. So I'll see you guys. Alright, so now we're going to take the carnival squash. You can see the label here. Peel that off. And we're going to stuff this the way that you would stuff like a pepper or whatever. So I'm going to cut the top off here and try to remove it whole. And once again, careful not to cut yourself, but how I like to work this, because these aren't as, the shell isn't as hard as it was on the curry squash, but it's still tough. I like to go in this way with these and cut around. And you can see they're quite tough also, and you just want to be careful. Keep your fingers out of the way so you don't cut yourself. But you're just going to kind of stick your knife in, work it around, and the goal is to get all the way around in a circle along the top so you can fill this with the stuffing that we've prepared. And just for those of you guys that haven't been eating squash in the past, this has more vitamin C in it than an orange. It's really good for you, especially for winter food, because you need vitamin C. So here's what you get, and all my wife's going to do is scoop the seeds out like you would on any pumpkin. She's working over there on the other table, and we'll show you guys how to stuff them when we're done. Okay. And then I'll do those ones next. All right, now let's talk about these Delica squash, and these are my favorite. These are the sweetest. They're really yummy. They're similar to a zucchini, and you can eat the skin on these, so you don't have to skin these. The skin's really, really thin. And basically, to stuff these, when I'm looking at them at the store, what I really want to try to avoid is one that's all cooked like this. This was decent size, that's why we ended up getting it. But the straighter they are, the easier it's going to be to stuff them. And basically, you're just going to do the same thing that you've done with all the other squash, except these are real soft like a zucchini. So they're really easy to cut. Basically, you're just going to split them right in half. And the goal here, again, is to you're going to scoop the seeds out and create a cavity. Okay, guys, so here we have the Delica squash, and I've laid them out on a pizza pan. And as you guys know on our channel, roadsteading to homesteading, we live in an RV, so our oven is teeny tiny little thing, and this pan barely fits. So we're going to do the Delica squash first because they cook the fastest, and I'm hungry. And the other two larger squashes that I did are going to take longer to cook. So basically, this is super easy. I shouldn't even have to show you this, but I'm going to do it anyway because it makes it interesting. But you're going to take your mixture. This is it here, and you can see on the camera. And you're going to take your squash, and basically you're just going to fill it right up. And this is raw ground sausage. It's pork, and all the vegetables that we diced up earlier. And basically, I like to use the raw meat because it adds flavor to the squash. Because squash, different types of squash, Delica squash isn't one of them. Delica squash is very sweet, but some squashes have a very bland flavor, and so you have to give them flavor. And the fats from the pork will really soak into the squash as the baking and give you lots of flavor.
Alright, so living in a small space, after preparing a meal, you typically have to do the dishes. Otherwise, not that we don't have enough dishes, we just we'll have a pile of dishes in our small sink. So right now it's in between time, and anything that was left over from the previous meal and anything that we've made a mess with for this meal that we're preparing for, we have to clean, because we won't have any place to put our dirty dishes, and piling up dirty dishes is not fun.
And I don't have to do it.
Your turn's next.
Sometimes I do have to do it. All right, guys, so here it is.
I want you to tell me what you'll charge me when you
All
look
cooked,
at it.
and everybody's sitting around enjoying it.
So I went
So,
home, I looked it
and then
over,
we got the other ones in the oven still.
and I went in the next day,
It takes about an hour, and those will be done too.
and I made a price for it.
All right, our squash is done. It's you saw we had all our friends over and we ate the small ones. Those were delicious. Big ones are done. They take about 45 minutes to an hour. Depends on the size of the squash. And what you want to check for to make sure that they're done is the flesh of the squash needs to be real soft. And you can see I can stick the end of a spoon or fork into the meat of the squash. And that tells you that it's done. And once it's finished, you can serve it over rice. What we did is we put Parmesan cheese and mozzarella on top of it and serve it just as it is. The delicate squash that we ate earlier, that you saw in the video, those make good single serves if you're having friends over like we did. And these larger curry squash make a good family plan, and you can cut these things open and serve individually to your family. We basically cooked enough so that we had dinner and snacks for the next few days. And I'll tell you, I haven't bitten into this yet, but I'm going to give it a shot. It is yummy. So, you want a bite?
Sure.
Yeah, don't discount the squash when you see it, at the store, Walmart, or your local grocery stores, because they look weird. They're not just for decorations. Use your phone, Google them, find out what type they are. They all have different flavors. This curry squash is not as sweet as the delicate squash, but it still works really good. Obviously, she can't stop eating it.
I'm trying to get a piece of
It
squash.
still works really good with the sausage recipe. So, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye. Hey, wave.